I've recently discovered that the A minor 9 chord is like the Peloton bicycle in the key of C. It just never gets used, and it probably should. So today we're going to talk about some chords that I think are like really underused and underrated. I've been doing this whole thing on YouTube Shorts where I'm doing like a chord a day in the key of C. And the last couple ones have kind of opened my eyes to like, why don't I use these chords more? So first I want to talk about A minor 9. Now, some people will say this is like an A minor add 9, whatever. Basically, if you have an A minor chord, open A, 2D, 2G, 1B, open E. There's A minor. If you lift your ring finger off of the G string, you make that G open. That makes it A minor 7. And then we can place that note with the 4th fret, which is a B, all the way around A minor 9. I will link you to a video on just chord naming if you're unsure why it's called an A minor 9. But again, a super underrated chord in this key, especially if you're going to a G major chord and then to an F chord. A 6, 5, 4 in the key of C. A being the 6th note, meaning it's the 6th chord. So A minor, G major, F major is a 6, 5, 4 in the key of C. So we can use some of these underrated chords to kind of make something sound a little better. A minor 7, 9, G, 13, F major 7. So again, we're going to talk about some of my favorite, most underrated chords in this key, starting with that A minor 9. Speaking of underrated, how about Enya guitars and their amazing carbon fiber X4. Amazon Prime Day is coming up, so I'm going to link you to the Enya carbon fiber guitar in the description. I've been using this on live feeds and stuff too. You can run it to an amp. It has built-in reverb and stuff like that, perfect for like looping and still getting that cool acoustic sound that is so underrated. So first of all, let's do a different voicing of this A minor 9 like I did in that YouTube short. If you're familiar with minor bar chords, something like this on the 5th fret, where you bar the 5th fret and then get your ring finger and your pinky on the 7th fret of the A and D string. Kind of a difficult bar chord to play, but if you lift your pinky and put it to the 7th fret on the high E string, I think that's a really good representation of an A minor 9. And the reason I think it's a good representation is because the 9th note, that B, is on top. So you're hearing the gist of it, right? And I think that's the point of this. Like, well, you know, I like A minor 9, but I like C major 7 better. Well, it's really just about the sound of it, you know what I mean? If I just take this difficult chord, like I said, 5, 7, 5, 5, 5, 7, that's kind of a difficult chord to play because, you know, you gotta bar that down and bar down all the strings. What if you just take a piece of it? Maybe just like the 5th fret on the top, the G and the B string. And to me, because we've been playing in this key, that has the sound of an A minor 9. If I want something a little more dissonant, I can go to that first one we did, where it's open A, 2D, 4G, 1B, because I have the 9 right next to that C. So that's creating dissonance. These are just different voicings. That's why it's really important to learn a bunch of different voicings on guitar, which is the whole reason we're doing this video, right? So in context, I'll do both of those, just like an A minor 9 to a regular G major triad to an F major triad. All right, so I'll start with A7, 9, G, F, or A minor 7. So that voicing really adds a totally different vibe, even though, you know, technically you could say it's the same chord, all right? Another chord, aside from minor 9 chords, which again, we're going to get back to this when we kind of do a bigger example of a broader chord progression, is the major 9 chord, okay? So my favorite chord in the key of C is anything F major-ish, right? I love that mode, just kind of how it, you know, make it a major 7 chord. But this chord right here, F major 9, which is another one of those shorts, I just think kind of adds like a cool, just like a cool dreamy sound to anything in this key, right? Now you could also use this as like a C, which we're going to get to, but we're going to start on the F. So your root note is going to be the 8th fret on the A string, middle finger. Your major 3rd is going to be your pointer finger on the 7th fret. Major 7 is going to be your pinky on the 9th fret of the G string. And then we've get your ring finger on the 8th fret of the B string, right? So that's what kind of makes this a major 9. You can always think of a major 9 as being the second note an octave higher, right? So the second note, regardless of a F, is a G. So right where my ring finger is, that's a G note. Okay, so we could add this to that A minor 9 kind of deal, right? So maybe we go like here, then jump right into it, and it kind of has an interesting vibe. I personally think that A minor sounds better when you go to a G, but I want to talk about how you can kind of switch from another chord super easy with this major 9. You just take your root note and you go string lower to the 8th fret on the E string, which is a C, which brings us to the next chord that I think is super underrated, major 6 chords. All right, major 9 chords, major 6 chords do not get used enough, but they sound great together, especially because of how easy they are to jump to the next one. We've got the A string rooted, A string root to E string root. That's all I'm changing. And it goes from F major 9 to C major 6. F major 9, C major 6. Now remember, there's another major chord in this key, a G major, which usually we root that on the 3rd fret. So let's take this little contraption that we've got here, move it to the 3rd fret. Now I've got C major 9 to G major 6. So I'm still kind of sticking in that key, and I think it sounds pretty good. Just could give you some ideas of maybe different things to add to your tried and true open chords and stuff. Because that's the point. It's not about maybe changing every single chord into a major 9 or a 13 or something. You know, you don't have to make it jazzy just to kind of get some utility out of a lot of these chords. Sometimes it can be cool just to take just regular open triads and then throw in something a little interesting and different, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. Like, for instance, I did that in one of my songs. In the bridge to Reminder, an Emeryld Ryders song, it goes from a D minor to like an A minor, and then like a G to a C, major 7, and then maybe the next time just a regular D minor to maybe a spicier A, and then an F major 9, and then back to like a regular kind of minor major vibe, you know? So just one example of how you can just kind of take one spicy chord and then kind of just add it in, insert it. It doesn't have to be super jazzy, or maybe it can be super jazzy, whatever your tastes are. I just know that for me, learning a bunch of different chord voicings is something that really helped me expand my playing through every genre. You know, it didn't have to be just a genre I was thinking of. Like, these aren't jazz chords. Sure, they get used in jazz a lot, but you can use it however you want, whatever context you want. You're the artist. It's not for me to decide your artistry. You can pick that up on your own. You know what I mean? So let's talk about another minor 9, because again, the nines are so overlooked on guitar, right? Let's do a voicing of a D minor 9, because I think this spot on a guitar, this section of a guitar, kind of like the meat of it, anywhere, you know, between the 3rd and the 7th fret, is something that is really easy to access, maybe around open chords or on your way to something higher. So let's root on the 5th fret of the A string. There's our D note. Its minor 3rd is an F right here, 3rd fret on the D string. So 5A, 3D. Okay, my pointer finger. And then now my ring finger and pinky have 5G and 5B. Okay, so this could be our new minor 9 voicing. Again, if you wanted to do an A minor 9 voicing in this shape, you'd have to go a little higher. Or we could go to this. And these are cool, just different ways to go in between a D minor chord and an A minor chord. Or regular D minor. A minor. So it's not that one way is better than another. In fact, using them interchangeably in the right spots in a key is something that I do all the time when I play live. A lot of the stuff that I do live is like acoustic guitar accompaniment, right? So a lot of the newer pop songs that might get requested or something could just be a very simple 4-chord loop, right? So in that case, it's like, all right, well, how am I gonna fancy up something that's just like a C, G, A minor, F. Maybe I'll play the first verse like that, right? And then I'll start kind of getting more creative to keep myself engaged. C, just like the old days, G, A minor 9, F major 9, C, D minor 9, G 13, F major 7. Right? You don't always have to use them the same way every time. In fact, I think a lot of maybe your favorite live players, in my experience, they'll usually play something a little different every time, which is why it's great to go to live music, because you'll see a song that you like maybe played in a way that you've never heard it before and never will hear it again, okay? So what I think is really interesting in taking these chords and maybe just making one minor adjustment and moving it into like a new stratosphere is really important. So if we go back to that D minor 9, remember 5A, 3D, 5G, 5B, and again, check out all those YouTube shorts because those are just minute-long videos focusing on one specific chord and the context that you would play that in. But if you just do the same thing we did with the major 9 to root note major 6 trick, you can do the same thing here. Move your root note down. And it's funny because I'm thinking this is a D minor to an A minor or something. And you can make that argument, but if we look at the notes and diagnose what's happening, this is actually an A, an F, a C, and an E, which is really just an inversion of F major 7, F, A, C, E, which happens to be, like I said, my favorite chord in this key. So maybe instead of going like D minor, like a regular D minor to C to F, maybe we could do like a D minor 9 to C to F. And I think that's a creative way to kind of get around there without looking at, I mean, everything is just happening on 2 frets right here, right? We got the D minor 9, 5A, 3, 5, 5. That C major bar chord, 3A, 5, 5, 5. And then again, I'm thinking of my bass note, but not my root note, going to that A. To get an F major, you can switch them, A minor 11. There's a lot that can be done just by manipulating one note from a chord, right? So I think it's something that you might want to just be a little more cognizant of because I don't think it's really that difficult to kind of to grasp how, all right, well, I know these notes are possible, they're available, but how do they fit together? Do I have to know the names? You don't have to know the names. For me, it helped me learn the names as just different things I could have in my vocabulary until I fit them into a song contextually, and then everything kind of coalesced and made a lot more sense, right? So challenge yourself. Maybe you should just have a progression. Take one of those chords and then just switch it up. Now, again, there are rules. There are music theory rules that, like, you shouldn't break. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to turn an E minor into an E minor 9 chord on a song in the key of C. Why do we not want to do this? Because on the top, we have an F sharp. That's usually something in the key of G, not the key of C. But let's play something with the E minor 9 in the key of C, right? So C, 1, 5, the 6th chord, right? You can hear it when it kind of gets, it's like, oh, I hear that F sharp, but then just get off it and come back in, right? And now you're playing outside. Now you're playing with some pizzazz. And what is a better way to kind of flex on that pizzazz by just getting this gorgeous Enya X4 carbon fiber guitar. Check out all the stuff on Enya. I use the Next G in the live streams too, and even the Nova Go. And again, the stuff is really, really cool. Solid. Again, this is the best carbon fiber for under $1,000 that I've played. hands down, you can just like leave it in your car and the wood's not gonna like melt like it would in Florida if you just left something in your car. But yeah. Anyways, thank you to Enya for sponsoring this video. Thank you for watching. Check out some of the YouTube shorts, and if you have any questions or comments, hit me in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks a lot.